Hello there and welcome to the latest Pixel Academy video, during which, having received an email a week or two back from a LinkedIn Learning user who had been watching through my VRay courses in the hopes of finding a very particular something, I will be responding by hopefully giving them something of what they were looking for, which was an insight into how they might set up a typical all-white environment inside of which they could create a series of catalogue style renders for their products, very much along the lines of the images that we can see here in IKEA's online catalogue. The very first thing that you are going to need in order to follow along with this exercise then, if you want to work along and not just watch that is, would be a 3ds Max scene that has a product, or even a pretend product, already set up. So camera composition taken care of, lighting, materials, and so on. Now in this particular instance, I am going to be cheating a little by using a fire extinguisher model that I have grabbed from the Chaos Cosmos library, which if you have access to, you can feel free to set up in a similar way. Neither the scene setup nor the product though really being the point of the training that we are going to walk through here. The lighting that we have in the scene consists of just a simple plain light sitting up above the product with two white reflector planes sitting either side of it in order to bounce both specular and diffuse reflections back onto it. Now if you have watched through any of my existing VRay and 3ds Max training on LinkedIn Learning, you will probably have heard me say quite a number of times that there are usually quite a few ways in which we can go about achieving most things in 3ds Max and VRay, with the creation of this catalogue style product render being no different. Meaning that what we're going to run through over the next few minutes or so is just one way in which this particular setup could be created in Max and VRay. Coming to the environment and effects dialog then, let's make a start by setting 3ds Max's environment background to the white colour that we want for our final product shot. Though of course when I take a render here, instead of getting that nice clean catalogue white backdrop that we are after, what we see is more of a mid-grey look. Now this is happening because the VRay physical camera's exposure settings are of course affecting not just the product in the frame, but also the environment background that is being rendered as well. Now to fix this, what we could do at this point is add an output map to our environment slot, and then boost the colour back up to white by increasing the output value to around about 6 or so. Which, as you can see, if we render again, works just fine. What I'm going to do instead though, after jumping into the VRay tab in the Render Setup dialog, is open up the advanced version of the colour mapping rollout, and from there turn off this effect background option that we can see. Now for this switch to have any effect, we will need to also make the change from progressive over to the bucket rendering mode. And if we take a render of the scene now, we can see that we are getting closer to the look that we actually want. Now if the extra whiteness that we can see in the reflections on the product are not really working for us in this instance, we can easily come back to the Render Setup dialog, and in the environment rollout, turn on the black reflection and refraction environment overrides, which when rendered will give us the exact same result on the product as per our starting render. Now from an IKEA type perspective, this really is all we need to do, as ground or drop shadows are nowhere to be found in their particular product images. Let's assume in this instance though that we do want shadows in our renders, and so let's go ahead and add a VRay infinite plane to the scene, and just for tidiness sake let's set it to sit at the world origin, this of course making no difference to its final look in our images. If we do go ahead and take a render now though, we are clearly still not getting what we want at this point. What we need then is a wrapper material, and so after opening up the material editor and adding a new wrapper material to the work area, we can connect the existing base grey material in there to the base material slot, and then apply the wrapper to the VRay plane. Though you may wonder about where we are going with this, as when we again take a render, we appear to have taken a step or two backwards rather than forwards. Not to worry though, because we are actually only a few steps away from being done here. And so, coming to the wrapper materials properties, let's enable the matte surface and shadow options. And note that when we render now, we are almost where we want to be. Not quite all the way though, because if we take a look at the alpha channel in our render, we still aren't capturing all of the information that we would want for a post-production touch-up session, though we could get everything that we need via Max's render element tools if we really wanted to go that route. Rather than add unnecessary work in this instance though, let's very quickly turn on the Effect Alpha option for the shadows, and then very critically also set the alpha contribution value to -1 or black, which when rendered now gives us a render, because of the alpha information that we are now seeing, that can be tweaked to our heart's desire, either in a post-production application such as Photoshop, or even right here in the VRay frame buffer window. And there we have it, one way in which we can create a catalog style product render using 3ds Max and VRay. One that in this instance also includes a fully usable alpha channel for post-production tweaks. For more VRay and 3ds Max training, do be sure to check out my range of courses that can be found in the LinkedIn Learning Library, which of course itself is full of training material that can help out with all aspects of our creative endeavours. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch and work through this quick training exercise with me, and until next time, this is Brian Bradley for the Pixel Academy saying take care and bye for now.